Okay, for the whiskers, I just planted the guides in each whisker hole. and then, you know, oh, if this happens, yes. So, okay. Resample, and then we can add another guide groom. Here. Now I can keep doing my thing. You know, maybe I go back here and plant guides. Back to here and recache and cut. And it can be tricky. I want to cut these short hairs in front, but I don't want to cut the ones in the back. So what I can do is I can select it here. If I click this and select these and hit enter, you can kind of see they're orange and slightly highlighted. So now if I cut this, I'm masking out the back groom, and that's a way that you can isolate hair and not affect the others. And then in the end, I had something that looked like this. And after a certain point, I turned off mirroring, and I used another guide groom just to sort of make it more asymmetrical. And something that's different with this, with the whiskers, is that, oh, here, sorry. So with the whiskers, I want it to render a hair per guide. I don't actually want to generate any fur. I want it to be exactly where that guide is in the little whisker indent. So what you do is you just click this render guides checkbox here, and it will turn off all these other options. If I uncheck this, I don't know what's going to happen. There we go. You can see that's what it looks like without that checked. And for the eyelashes, right, the eyelashes. Okay, so what I did was I extruded guides along the surface, and just because it's a bit easier to do that way than to plant a bunch of eyelash guides and have them all be nice, especially in such a small, tight area. Okay, so what you can do is, if you take a blast node and change this to edges, you can select a loop along the eye line that you would like. If you click and then shift or just hold A, you could sort of see where the loop is, or you could also just do a middle click and it'll select the entire loop. Let's see, what do we want here? Something like that, and then maybe I'll just get rid of all of this. Okay, and then press enter, and we want to delete non-selected. And with this, if I turn on point order, you can see that we've got 4 and then 40, 20. It's all random, and we want to create a curve from this edge, so we want the points to be sorted nicely, which is what this sort is doing. So now we can see it's all numerically in order. Oh, we've got a random edge back there. Let's delete that. that's better. Then we've got this add. You can see it's created this curve here, and then a polyframe. It's just adding normals. So then I plugged this into a hair gen node, and now we have a bunch of eyelash guides coming out somewhat along the normal. We've got some bad edges in here. It's okay. So I just groomed it, and then I blasted the bad guys out afterwards. And then I mirrored it, but as you can see, it's offset from the surface because the mesh is slightly asymmetrical. So what I did was, using this group expression node, it's finding the root point of each curve, and I'm then fusing it to the mesh. You just select the target, we put the target geometry in the second input, just grabbing from the skin here. And you can choose the snap distance. Sometimes this can help if it's snapping somewhere you don't want it to. And I'm just adding a rest node just for safe measure because I have changed the position of the root. And then from there, I just did a bit of a guide groom and these are the eyelashes. Lions do have eyelashes, they're very subtle, so I wasn't too worried about how it would look. I believe I fixed the patchiness in a later version of this file, but so what I did was I created some bend variation along the direction with a random angle. I changed the length and then added another bend to help sweep them up. And I could have used a curve mask to really make sure it's only on the ends, or if you only want random hairs, you can also use a noise mask. And it can create some really natural lashes that way by adding lots of variation.